prep the eyes. I'm gonna do two. I'm gonna do a couple of them, so we have them done. I always like to have extra. I'll sit there and do eyes for an hour or something and just amass them at home. But I just get the edges of my little murrine here glowing, and then I get a little ball of glass, and then I push it together, trying to keep it on center. I just had some coffee. So. You just give a little wiggle, and then you've got your murrine left behind you. That's so cool. I'll do that one more time, just so I have plenty. Because I'm gonna pick these up cold. They're probably not gonna crack. 9 out of 10 are fine, but it's always good to have an extra one because you don't want to have to make it in the middle, making your eye. Just kind of push my eye into that gather of clear. It's the back side of the lens, and then it's my left eye. Okay, so we got some eyes. And you know, I like buying the fats if I can, but they are very expensive. And so by having a clear core, you really save money. It's just much more efficient. And we kind of can dilute some of our colors to make them a little more natural. And so because I don't have a big fat piece of, this is amber purple, or any color really to work with, I'm gonna stripe color over 12 millimeter, and that'll give me a nice fat piece for the head and the body. And hopefully I'll have just enough left for the legs as well. So just striping. And this amber purple, we kind of want more of an oxidizing flame to burn some of that haze that forms on the surface off. And so then we get more of the pretty color underneath. The ambers and the purples will come out after it comes out of the kiln. So I'm just making a big fat piece of amber rye. Hopefully I'll have just enough left for 8 legs.
I like to run some really high pressures with that stuff too, beyond just using an oxidizing flame.
Yeah, it's a pretty mellow flame. Normally I'll have it where it's actually sharp and hissy. And you can see it burning off.
When I'm doing like the eye canes with it and I want that color to really pop, like I'm running like 80, 90 PSI on my GTT. Very high, yeah, that's what I mean.
So you don't have to worry about it reducing.
Well, I mean, I still do the same things though. I run really, and I stay out of the face, where the gases haven't mixed yet, but still adding that pressure is what really made the difference for me in keeping that color pristine.
So I love my Carlisle. I'm a Carlisle guy through and through. It's just what I started on at Pinland. I mean, that's what they had in the studio. And so I've been the construction worker on the stick for many years now. And my birthday's next week. And I think I just got news that I might be a beer drinking, lederhosen wearing graduate.
Oh yeah, man, stepping up to the Herbie.
Yeah, my wife just kind of let something slip.
Aw. What's this heavy box?
Actually, I got a receipt in my inbox from ABR, and I was like, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
I didn't order this.
Busted.
So that's kind of cool. I know nothing about those, but...
Yeah, secret congratulations.
Yeah. Okay, so, I just made a little colored section. Oftentimes I'm going to use a fancy handle with a fish attached to it.
What? This is how ballers work, y'all.
No stinking cobalt handles.
Yeah, that's OG.
Wait, who's got that amber purple frit? Thank you. So I striped it with amber purple, and I'm gonna roll it in some amber purple frit to give it a speckled pattern. And hopefully this is just enough for my head and the beginning of my body of my octopus.
Do I just set him in here?
You can, yeah. There should be room right by the door. So gravy boats are good. Gravy boats are gravy. So you can see there's a little bit of a haze on it. bump up the oxygen to kind of burn that off a little bit. Leave a little bit of a haze. For these octopus, I kind of like them to be a little splotchy. And the frit helps with that as well. I don't want a super thick coating with frit. I'm just going for a nice thin coating. Just to give it a little speckle pattern. Clear frit's nice too, over the amber purple. Just with the octopus, just to give it a little bit more interest. The speckly ones sell better than the solid color ones do, I've noticed. So then I'm just gonna kind of flatten this. This area is where I'm gonna attach my legs to. I usually don't sign pieces till the very end, but the octopus I found, this is the best time to sign them. And so I look at it as like, I'm committed now. So this is my little signature cane. It says Pollack 2019. And I just wanna go ahead and snap it off right in the middle. So I get the edges of my murrine glowing, and I get right where I'm gonna put it nice and hot. And then I just kind of push it in, not too hard. A millimeter or two, and then I let it cool off, and then I'm going to give it a little wiggle. So that's called stick and snap. We've touched on it a little bit. And it leaves just a little signature behind. And then I'll re-flatten this to kind of flatten it in, and also spread this out a little bit wider so I have enough room. I want this to be wide enough to fit 8 tentacles around. That's probably wide enough. Just from having done it, I've learned that that 12 millimeter rod that we start with is about enough for 8 tentacles, depending on how wide you're making your tentacles. So now, coffee so I don't knock it over. And I'm gonna put this side of me so that I can heat each one and roll it in some frit. So now, got eight chances to practice. Good thing about octopus. Get it a little warm and roll it in a little frit and get a little hotter and melt it all in. So remember, you want to get what you're attaching and right where you're going to attach it, kind of glowing the same color. Just kind of touch them together. On my torch, I'll use my torch marver. On this guy, I'm just going to use that to just very gently flatten the bottom side of it a little bit. I find it helps kind of incorporate it a little bit better. And then I get that whole thing hot, very slowly pull it out. And then before it freezes up on you, you kind of have a second that you can curl it. If you want a curly octopus, some of them you might want a straight leg. And then you kind of can pull it out a little bit further as you're removing it. So oftentimes I'll establish my front and my back first. And then we'll do that again 7 more times. After I get the 4th or 5th leg on, I'm going to turn on the hand torch and really be making sure that all my welds are good. You can flash this out here, although I find that I'm working around a central point here anyway, so it kind of stays warm. Just the light coating of frit. Melt it in. And this is now I'm getting the tentacle to about the temperature I want to pull it out. But I'm not worried if it's the temperature I want when I attach them. It's like it's almost there, so I can very quickly go and get it back to that temperature is the idea. So once it's about the temperature I want, then I want to go and get the tip of this and the tip of where I'm going to attach it hot and touch them together. Give a little flattening. It's kind of how I figured out I like to do it. So there's no one way to do these. Very slowly pull it out. And those thicker spots stay hot longer and the thinner spots cool off, so it kind of wants to pull out to an even thickness. And then kind of a twist and a turn. So I think I'm going to call this his front. And I'll have him kind of grasping for something, and then maybe later I'll go add a fish to it or something. I can add those later because I can very easily heat the tips of the tentacles back up without having to worry about getting the entire thing hot. add a fish. Just the fish needs to be preheated. Okay, 2. And I add the eyes and whatnot in just a few minutes. I don't like adding them too soon. It creates kind of an uneven thickness up here and oftentimes leads to cracking. So I just kind of wait. I'm gonna have enough material here for 8 legs. Who actually counts that there's 8 legs? I always wonder that.
Yeah.
The septicus.
Okay, good. I have a good space in here because I have just enough room to fit tentacles in between these. If I see it, you know, not hot enough somewhere, like it's glowing brighter in one spot and not another, I can kind of just give it a little glancing heat. Just a quick flash to kind of make that area warmer. So I'm pulling it towards the back. And I try not to spend too much time making the tips look pretty. I can always come back and do that in a little bit. And I want to really keep the heat in the middle. Sometimes I forget to coat one. It happens. Some natural mutation. Gravity to let it drip one way and then drip the other way. Sidearm here. Maybe he's going to help him catch something, so I'll bring him towards the front. And I can move these and pose them in a little bit.
This is the eyeball one.
Oh, thank you. A little bit intense of a flame. It was fine for that first one, but now that I'm going in between my legs, you know, it's just hard. You just have to be quick about it so that your other legs don't flop around. And the trick is like, get this to the temperature you want first, and then very quickly kind of sneak it in and just try and get right where you want and touch it together before your other legs have a chance to start flopping. Sometimes they do. That's just the glass telling you you're getting it a little too hot. So hold off on it a little bit. Melt it in. And I like the fine frit. One, it gives a nice speckly pattern. 2, it melts in very quickly. And sometimes if you want the webbing, I'll kind of push it towards one side and push it towards the other. There's a little bit of webbing in between the tentacles. The torch marver really helps with that flattening move, but it's alright. Improvise. You can blow on it if it feels a little too hot in an area. You can just melt these little tips in, or if you can hold 2 things with one hand, you can pull them off. It's a little wasteful. Remember, we want to be efficient. So now's about when I'll usually turn the hand torch on. I'll do it in a minute, because you really want to go back over every tentacle and make sure those welds are good. And once you start squeezing them in and nudging them back and forth to get them to stick, to wedge, to make that little bit of like a webbing, like is that what it's called? The webbed feet? Like on a duck, web, I guess the legs kind of have a little bit of a. We need one of our marine biologists in here. I'm sure there's another name for it, but you know what I mean. You know, you want to go back over those welds because they can lead to cracks. And if you take the time to do that, it's amazing how strong a piece can be. But if you don't, it just wants to crack, it just wants to fall apart. So I always say it's more than 10 times stronger if you take the time to go back over it. So it's worth that time. Even though it takes a little bit of time to. And if your legs start flopping around on you, that's okay. You know, we want to be kind of walking that line. So it means you're right there. You're just on the other side of the line. So you just need to dial it back a little bit. Little curls. There's so many different looks. You can do straight legs, you can do curly legs, you can do them where they really have more of a curly hue to them. And then, you know, in between each leg, I'm going to go back and just kind of check the lines where all the things meet to make sure that they're welded in nicely, nice and smooth. So if I do a little bit at a time, then I don't have to go back and do a bunch at the very end. It was great meeting you. Have a good one. Great, huh? Stuck with it. Okay, last two. Thanks for your patience. Ooh, and sometimes we got a little squeezing to do. So sometimes I'll actually move some tentacles out of the way. Maybe I'll do that. Just because I can. Because I made it a little tight there for myself, so I'm going to move that one a little to the left, that one a little bit to the right, give myself some room there. Saw how I did that? You can always move it back later. I'm actually going to move them around a little bit anyways to get it to sit flat and kind of pose him a little bit better. Just enough. Legs moving. Pull it out. The length and the thickness you want. Don't pull it out too thin. And then you can kind of curl it up. And I just want to make sure that the legs aren't touching. That leg back into place, the one that was moving on me and the one that I moved out of the way. It was moving on me because I had just gotten it hot to move it out of the way. That's okay. Alright, last but not least, and then I only need 2 dots for the eyes. For the eye socket. I push the eyes into that. Fingers. Start to smell chicken fingers, it means your rod is too short. It is. Just gonna go for it. Chef hands. Asbestos hands. It's not a good thing. Alright, let's sneak this last one in. But you see how I haven't really been flashing it much because I'm kind of working around a central point. So it's kind of naturally keeping itself warm. Okay, don't want to spend too much time, nitpicking on the legs just yet. I want to weld them all in. They're going to move a little bit when I get them hot to weld them in, probably. These are Carlisle hand torches. They make all different tips for it. there's a 5 or a 6 on here. I like a 3 or a 4, so just turn it down. But yeah, it just depends. Everybody has a different preference. And bring it to where it's almost blowing itself out, but not. I'm just going around checking for any welds that might not be good. And just getting it super hot and letting that glass flow together. The bottom side looks pretty good. Let me check it from the top here. You know, just right where there are any acute angles where the legs meet. And I'm making my way around, kind of checking it. When you heat it with the torch, it starts to glow. And you know, you can see where it's not glowing, there's no glass. You need to let it flow into there so that you have nice smooth transitions. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Sorry. Up, it's keeping us awake. And I have my 2 eyes right here. And I'm left-handed. So now, I'm going to attach a handle right to the bottom. And I don't like my handles to be too long. I feel like they're just asking you to get smacked on something, or they can be a little cumbersome. And I actually do a cold seal. And I'm doing it right on top of that murrine. So, fingers crossed. Move it from this guy. See a little crack in there, but that's okay. I'm gonna melt it out. Fingers crossed. There it goes. A little bit of amber purple that I have left. A little bit. So I don't need a foot pedal because I just use my arm to turn my torch up and down. And then, you know, another thing, you might want to bend some tentacles out of the way if you need to get into where your eyes are. You might have to move some things out of the way. That's one spot that I'm going to shove an eye into. There's the other one. Okay, and you have a second. If one's a little bigger than the other, you can add a little bit to the smaller one or remove a little bit from the bigger one. Those are pretty even. Those are good enough. And I'm actually going to ball up the head and then I'm going to add the eyes just in case there's any movement or anything like that. That's okay. And ideally I left enough here for the mass of my head. You know, if you didn't coat the tip with some frit, now you can kind of get some on there. You know, I pulled a little off. But I kind of like a splotchy looking octopus. Just look more, they've lived or traveled. And they've got, you know, little unevenness, texture on their head. And I'm just letting gravity kind of bring it back down. I'm always doing these a little different. So this is kind of how I've been doing them as a kid. Back and forth, being careful not to bump it on anything because we do have a cold seal. where the handle is. I kind of like to let it fall back. The octopus is a little different. Back, but not so far it's going to touch the legs or anything. Okay, so then, and the octopus eyes are always horizontal. No matter which way they're facing, it's kind of like how they know what's up and what's down. The slit in the eye. So then I go, that's why I made two, because he just popped. Of course. So get that eye nice and hot. The eye socket. The eye, I just want to be warm. I mean, I want it glowing, but I don't want it to distort when I push it in there. And then I can come out of the flame. And I'm looking at it to make sure that it is horizontal, that the little line is horizontal. And I melt this off, leaving just enough clear for my lens. Coffee shakes. And let me do the other one. And the other end of the hot side. Yep. All right. It's horizontal, and then shove it in there. There's his two eyes. And that's pretty much it. You can be nitpicky and go back and, pose these guys. If you have some tentacles that may have moved and look like they're touching, you may want to bend them a little bit so that they're not. Glass on glass is just, not always the best idea when it comes to some of these sculptural pieces. If I want them touching, I want them to be welded together nicely. But then again, I don't want to spend too long on it because, he's got a lot of stress in it. I've been working on him a while. And he might crack. So I'm going to go ahead and put him away. I think that was the quickest octopus I've done.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. And I flash my tweezers, grab it by at least one or two tentacles. And polish up my little punny mark. And if you do a cold seal, and this is nice and cold and the other piece is nice and hot, usually it doesn't leave any glue behind. You can see it says my name in there. Cool?
Hell yeah, man.
Right.
Thank you, dude.